this basically cleans it up. It says, it crosses out orchestras and bands and just says music amplified. But no person, business, or organization shall play or permit to be played any music emanating from any sound amplifying equipment within the borough between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Period. That's it. Problem is, we have ordinances and they're not necessarily enforceable because of the way they're written. This is pretty clear cut. It says, no person, business, or organization shall play or permit to be played any music emanating from any sound amplifying equipment within the borough between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. All ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. So, again, it would be a motion to adopt the said ordinance on the first reading. We can do that?
It's the introduction and you're adopting it.
And then we're gonna have a public hearing next time.
This public hearing at our next meeting.
Right.
Then we have an adoption, then you have a publication.
Good.
Mayor, I have a question if I might.
Yes.
Does this say I can't play my stereo
Yes. You can't at this
at 11 o'clock?
Your stereo?
Well, it's amplified.
With your headphones.
No, not wearing, didn't say I wear
Your
headphones.
stereo outside or inside?
Oh, it's inside, but so is anything else, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it says any person. I mean, it's not limited
I
to.
think the issue is that it's
commercial
loud enough
use.
that it's disturbing your neighbor.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, the meeting is not open to the public at this time.
I understand the intent, but that's not what it says.
Like I have a stereo system.
Let me know when it's on. We'll call the chief.
You never heard it because.
Well, you forget how to use it?
No, I put it on after 10 o'clock. I
just-
don't put it on very loudly, and my neighbors can't hear it.
But, I mean, even TV.
Shouldn't it have something like disturbing the peace or something that,
Well, that leads into subjectivity.
But there are decibel
I know, they don't.
readers, but I don't know how
They don't
accurate
want-
they
They need a
really are. I'm not
professional.
really sure. I don't
You
know.
need a professional, you need to have them on the property.
There's a state code, which is a decibel level. In order to implement that, you have to have a certified decibel reader and a qualified decibel meter, which is also calibrated in order to do it. And then you have to do the testing at the location. If someone complains they could hear it from their home, the testing would have to be within their home. And also the levels that the state require are very high. So it can be noisy and still not violating the decibel, the state noise level.
But that's why they have state noise levels, correct?
Yes.
And what would be the financial cost to the borough if we were to implement something like this? As far as a decibel monitoring tool in addition to the training for an officer?
That's the problem. That's the problem. It's so subjective right now. And that's why, that this language is coming in. No person, business, or organization shall play or permit to be played any music emanating from any sound amplifying equipment within the borough between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. It's kind of like what we've gotten down to. And you can't limit it to one place.
And you could, if you wish, take out no person and just leave it business or organization.
Well, the only concern I have with that, Mrs. Crawford, is again, if someone's having
Discriminatory.
well, not just that, but if they're having a big party outside, and I mean, we certainly get calls from residents and things, so it's a good suggestion, but
I've had police come to my house just for a guy at like 10:30 at night laughing too loud. There was no music.
yeah, it's,
I was like friendly with them all.
Well, this is introductory, correct?
This is an
Right, this is introductory, so I guess if this, I'd like to see us kind of kick this off, so to speak, and then if we need to make adjustments, you know, before the next reading of it, we could do that, right?
Yes.
I mean, you can introduce it to title, and you can come up with better wording before you publish it, you could do that.
Right, but when would you publish it?
You have to publish it between the first and second
Right,
reading.
yeah,
But
yeah.
at the second meeting, if there is a modification, it still could be adopted if it's considered that the modification is not substantial.
Correct.
If the modification is substantial, you could not adopt it at that meeting. You'd have to republish the modified version and then go to your next meeting for your adoption.
Gotcha.
But those are options that council has.
Is there another town or some kind of history, you know, case study that we can go back and look at language and sort of, why are you waiting?
There is.
Okay, so maybe we could, you know, maybe just kind of do a little more research on it, you know, for the next meeting. I mean, I don't mind if we want to go forward with it, just, maybe we can.
We can go forward with it and we'll set up to do some research on, you know, what other towns.
The problem, and I'm just, it's a timing problem. If you want to adopt it on June 12th, then we have to introduce it tonight, and I have to publish it for Saturday, because otherwise I don't have enough time for the ordinance to be published, to be heard at a public hearing at the next meeting. So that's a consideration.
Right, but again, we can introduce it and in the meantime make changes.
We can introduce
if
it
we
and
want,
we
right?
can try and make changes between now and Saturday, well, now and tomorrow at 4 PM, because that's when I have to get it to the paper.
What are you doing tomorrow, Nick? No?
Okay, well,
I mean, and then if we just can't come up with anything, we would just table it at the meeting. We can't come up, or just vote it down, whatever.
You start again.
well,
Start again, okay.
we would have to, right, we would have to start over.
The majority would not approve it at the second reading when it's a vote to implement, then it would die on its own causes. Or it could be tabled.
It's tough, but it's pretty, pretty black and white.
Yeah.
That's the,
The intent to start was to make it without discretion, because we do have an ordinance that talks about unreasonably loud, unnecessary, that would annoy someone, and that's always subjective. Are they annoyed or not?
right.
This is not subjective.
It's trying to turn the
It's a
gray
time
into
limit.
black and white.
If you exceed the
From our
time limit
ordinance.
and you violate by amplified instrument, it's a violation.
Does our existing ordinance say that was crossed out, that is an orchestra or band? Is that what's in there now?
Yes.
And are they defined?
No.
Any other comments?
I have none, Mayor.
Any member of council care to offer a motion?
I'd offer it as a motion, Mayor.
Mrs. Crawford, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Meixell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
No.
Council President Fetzer?
No.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Not at this time, no.
We do have a majority, so the introduction passes and the public hearing will be scheduled for June 12th.
Okay, next up is a resolution to allow for active military and their dependents to have free access to borough beaches for 2019. Pretty plain and simple. We've been doing this for years, and I think it's a good idea to keep doing it.
Mayor, there was a suggestion I had heard about expanding this for disabled vets.
Disabled vets? I have no problem with that. I think that the camp allows carloads of people, and they have, I would say, well, we have ramps. We do, but not everywhere.
Not everywhere, we have the Moby mats and.
And we have Moby mats, and we have the chairs that we same operation down at the camp, and they have like a parking lot right there, and I think you can always get a space, but.
I'm bringing it up, it was mentioned, because I think this is pretty good what we do.
We had disabled,
Practical perspective, how are we defining disabled? Are we asking for some kind of proof if someone walks up and says, I'm disabled, I'm a vet?
What do we do about the members of the military now? Do they show
Well, they
proof?
have their military ID.
Does it have any specification as to whether or not they're disabled? I don't know, I don't know.
Most, excuse me, sorry to interrupt you, being a veteran, most, you have to be classified by the Veterans Administration as a disabled veteran. And most then, if you are classified, you do receive an official letter from the Veterans Administration as to what percentage you're disabled. It starts at 10% and goes up. So they do give you a letter that says you've been classified as disabled by the Veterans Administration, and unless you're also in the military and classified as disabled. Is that correct, Mr. Clemenson?
Yes.
they give you like a card,
Right on target.
they give you a card for your wallet,
It
maybe?
depends on the percentage, depends on the percentage of disability, Mayor, but that's about
So
all
we
I can
could-
tell you. If
we
you
could
Or
want.
make it as long as they have
for
the
a letter.
credential?
Yeah, I
mean,
could-
that's
I
only
could
a
forward
resolution,
you
we can
one.
pass a resolution and amend it.
Basically, it's a letter
Better way to
from-
define a disabled vet.
Yeah.
We'll do it at the next meeting, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we could figure out what it is you actually have.
Okay. And disabled, and,
Nice idea.
we'll make it that way, and,
Subject to proof.
right. Any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Mrs. Crawford, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Mixell,
I'll abstain.
Councilwoman Morris,
Yes.
Council President Fetzer,
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy,
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is a resolution to approve a change order and supplemental agreement number 2, authorized payment number 2 in the amount of $8,688.68 to Floor Construction Group LLC for the project known as Improvements to Baltimore Park. And just to let you know that that tab is up to $188,214. And I believe Mr. Avakian has signed up on this.
Yes, you do.
Payment, any questions? Would any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mrs. Crawford, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Mixell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris.
Yes.
Council President Fetzer.
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the resolution to approve payment number 2 in the amount of $51,979.20. And payment number 3 in the amount of $113,827 to Shore Top Construction Corp., Farmingdale, New Jersey, for the project known as Improvements to Carriage Way. Is there still a payment due after this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I see it's signed up by Mr. Avakian. Any questions or comments? Would any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Ms. Crawford, please call the roll.
Councilman Mixell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris.
Yes.
Council President Fetzer.
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is a resolution to appoint seasonal beach staff, gate guards, office staff, and beach crew. The overall salaries, the beach manager, his salary is $20,500. The cashiers, they run salaries, I'm just gonna give you the range, $10 to $14 an hour. The gate guards' salaries are $8.85 to $10.75. The beach crew all makes $8.85 an hour. And then there's a restroom attendant that gets paid $13.75 an hour. Any questions or comments? Would any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Ms. Crawford, please call the roll.
Councilman Mixell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris.
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next up is a resolution to reappoint our registrar, Dawn Harriman, and our deputy registrar, Lorraine Carafa. The reappointment. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mrs. Crawford, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Mike
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next up is to appoint a full-time DPW laborer, Victor Fraternale. He's a full-time laborer of the Department of Public Works, and he is replacing someone.
He was part-time and we're moving him to full-time.
Yep. Okay. His salary is $42,663.90. Any questions or comments? No. Okay, anyone care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Crawford, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Mike
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is a resolution authorizing the issuance of a taxi owner license for DM Taxi LLC and Metwally Transportation LLC for 2019. These are two add-ons to the original list.
Yes. So we have, I believe with the second edition this evening, that would make 10 altogether
Okay.
that we've issued so far this year.
Too shy of last year.
All been vetted
Yes.
by the chief and all that? Okay. Any questions from the council?
No, sir.
Would any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Mrs. Crawford, please call the roll.
Councilman Mike
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, next up is a resolution, renewing the liquor license for Emerald Shores, which is taken as Harrigan's. There's proof here that they've paid the borough the $2,500 fee, and they paid the state fee $200, and that's an important one to remember,
Yes.
as we learned this year.
Yes,
it is. I've just asked the chief one question, in terms of Harrigan's, are you satisfied with,
Absolutely no objections, Mayor.
okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the council?
No, sir.
No?
Any member of council care to offer a motion for Harrigan's?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Mrs. Crawford, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Mike
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is a resolution for the ABC license renewal of Rod's Old Irish Tavern, Inc. In your packets, it shows that they've paid the $200 state fee and the $2,500 local fee. I'd ask the chief again.
Again, no objections, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Would any member of council care to offer a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second.
Council President Fetzer, did you move that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And the second?
Councilwoman Anthony?
Anthony? Councilman Mike
Yes.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Morris? Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is, we have the appointment of a candidate to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Councilman Foley. We have three names. We have former Mayor Mark Clemenson, we have Hillary DeFeo, and we have Alan Zakin. So at this point, I would ask you, I don't know, do we have little cards or?
Voting cards.
Scrap paper? No, actually,
Scrap paper?
I don't think this is a secret vote, is it?
No.
It's not, it's,
Someone
you
can
just,
nominate
someone can
someone.
nominate, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Someone can nominate, and then there would be a vote up on that person. If they got a majority, they would fill the seat. If there was not a majority, then someone could nominate the second person.
Okay, well, I'm looking for a nomination.
I would nominate Mark Clemenson.
I second that, Mayor.
All right. Ms. Grappa, roll call, please.
Excuse me. Councilman Meixell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
No.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, do you want to swear in, Mr. Clemenson, and he can take a seat?
Yeah, do you have a
Is
seat?
that what we should do?
I'll make
We'll make a seat.
We'll make a seat.
I have room down.
You have the,
Yes.
You said all right. You didn't put your name on it yet because, you know,
These big pocketbooks.
I left the Bible.
And this is being filmed too. Camera.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and the governments established in the United States and in this state,
to the same, to the government in this state and in the United States,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do furtherly solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I will impartially and justly
perform all the duties of the office of
perform all the duties in the office of
councilperson of the Borough of Seagirt,
councilperson of the Borough of Seagirt,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Move for lieutenant.
Is there a seat for this?
There's one more thing on the agenda. And that's to, well, it's not in the packet. It's to authorize the signing of an agreement with the Seagirt 5K Inc. allowing for the conduct of a foot race on August 3rd, 2019, it's a Saturday, waiving noise ordinance provisions and imposing parking restrictions in conjunction therewith. Would any member of council care to offer that?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mrs. Crofto, would you please call the roll?
Councilperson Clemenson?
Yes.
Councilman Meixell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Next we move on to administrator reports.
First item up is beach news. The pavilion will be open for beach badge pickup during the week of May 20th to 24th inclusive. And the beach opens this Saturday, May 25th, for weekends only through June 15th. Thereafter, open daily through Labor Day, September 2nd. Season badges are still available for purchase. Boardwalk reminders, no smoking or vaping on the beach or boardwalk. Dogs are not permitted on the borough's boardwalk at any time, and dogs are now prohibited from the borough beach through September 30th, 2019, and we appreciate your cooperation. And just an update that I received this morning is that we do have a piping plover that has a pair that has laid an egg at the North Beach. So all of our endangered species requirements are in place at this point. The primary election is scheduled for June 4th. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you are unable to vote in person, voters can complete a vote by mail application, which can be obtained from the county clerk elections website at www.monmouthcountyvotes.com or by downloading the free Monmouth County Votes mobile app. Voters can obtain an application in person by visiting the county clerk's elections office at 300 Halls Mill Road in Freehold, or the municipal clerk at Borough Hall. Please note the applications to vote by mail that are sent by U.S. mail must be received by the county clerk's elections office 7 days before an election. For the June 5th primary, the date is May 28th. June 4th primary, I'm sorry. And I have, that concludes my reports for this evening, and I have no QPA reports tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. We move on to council reports. Councilman Clemenson, I'll start with you. It's okay.
It's all good.
Councilman Mike Sell,
I have no report, Mayor.
Councilwoman Morris,
No report, Mayor.
Councilwoman Anthony,
No report tonight, Mayor.
Councilman Mulroy.
I feel like I should say something about the beach, but, open for business, our skeleton crew is working really hard to get everything in place. They've had some rough weather to, deal with the last, month, but, we're looking good. We have a temporary awning up, we'll have a new awning in place, in a short period of time, but, get your beach badges.
And the first day you need it is Saturday?
Yes?
Councilman Fetzer?
Mayor, just very quickly, the borough has submitted its asset management plan for the water system as required by the state. And that's really about it. It was a good job done by a consultant, which was H2M in conjunction with Peter.
And I have something to bring up about that. I have a couple different reports. I got a call from Ryan Kraus, who's the executive director of the Smyrna. And he is inquiring whether we can do an interlocal with our 8th Avenue project, because not far away from the 8th Avenue project, they need a valve replaced. And he likes our contractor we awarded the bid to. He thinks we could all save some money if we give that guy the job, and he's got H2M doing all the engineering work. So, as long as it's okay with you, I would like to report back to him tomorrow and say, if the contractor's willing to do it, maybe we save some money, and the contractor can keep on site.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, I think it makes sense, but I guess we have to make sure, Nick can maybe make sure we have whatever indemnifications or everything we need for, we'll be working in Wall
Yep.
Township.
Yep. Yeah, I think their site is well. Yeah, remember across the street, they said it wasn't far away. I also, wanna say that June 12th is the beginning of weekly recycling pickup, I believe. June 12th, the date of our next meeting.
You can't say anything? Okay.
You wish.
Someone's on fire, yeah. But, June 12th, is the recycling pickup. I had one other thing, but, I'm gonna have to leave it till the next time. But, that's all I have. And so now we have to, pay the bills. Everyone has a list of the bills. And, any questions or comments about the bills?
I have none there.
Any member of council would care to offer a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Crawford, please call the roll.
Council President Clemenson?
Yes.
Councilman Mixell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morris?
Yes.
Council President Fetzer?
Yes.
Councilman Mulroy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have public participation. I invite anyone in the public to address the council.
We just did the grass. Sorry. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Long week.
All right, yes, we'll open the public participation, and yes.
Carolyn Corelli, 101 The Terrace. When you were speaking about the noise ordinance, specifically music, shouldn't it apply to anything? And I'm referring to barking dogs. We have a situation in our neighborhood where there's a dog that is in an invisible fence, and it's out sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning, past 10 o'clock at night, and any bicyclist, especially in the summer, out bicycling at 6, it's barking. It barks all day, runners, baby carriages, whatever. We've called the police, and some neighbors have also, and they've come, and I guess they've gone to the house, and then it stops, they bring the dog in, but then it continues, and it's starting now. So can't the ordinance be against, any kind of disturbance?
Actually, I saw on the 6 o'clock news this week, ordinance in Westchester.
Yeah, I saw that.
They was very similar, and you can't let your dog wreak havoc in the neighborhood. I temporarily had that once. Someone brought a dog down for the weekend, and the dog just barked all weekend, but
Well, this is
I
all
didn't say
summer.
anything about it, but, that will have to be done by a separate, I think it would have to be done by,
It should be done by a separate ordinance because there won't be a time limit because a dog can bark at any time.
Well, there is a
Well, we
limit
already
in
have an
some
ordinance
towns, I think, I don't know who I was talking
Oh, we do?
to here,
What
they
do we
said
have?
20 minutes of continuous barking.
No, I don't know.
We have a current ordinance that covers barking dogs.
Do you?
We do.
Can you tell, I don't know
Well,
what it is.
Mrs. Curley,
I have to look at the ordinance, but it specifically refers to barking dogs.
I promise you, if you call the police, they will answer your call
Oh, they do, they
quickly.
do, no
And-
problem
and-
there.
And that person, that police, it's better that the police officer visits the home and works it out calmly with the person, but it persists.
It does persist,
um,
and I think you know what we're talking about, what property owner it is.
I'll do a little research on it and I'll stop by your house. Are you around tomorrow?
I'm around tomorrow,
I'll stop.
all day.
I'll stop by.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Bassett.
Speaking of density issues, okay, she clicked me already, am I on? All right, everybody here has a copy of the letter except Councilman Clemenson. I'm just asking, how did we get to this point about the Parker House, and we're compelled here tonight because of safety issues. We saw somebody who really gets hurt. That's our main concern. And we're just days away from Memorial Day, when we should be heralding the arrival of summer, but in fact we're dreading it. And how did we get to this point? We've lived and coexisted with the Parker House for 40 years in the home built by Henry's grandparents in 1948, that's my husband. As a family, we've had a long-standing front row seat to its evolution. Long gone is the balloon man on the corner and dressing up for dinner. As a prime, beautiful seashore town, we expect the summer crowds and are happy to share our good fortune so that others can enjoy their summer respite with beautiful beaches and other amenities, including the Parker House. Known up and down the East Coast and covered explicitly in the New York Times, the Parker House is known for a very good time. What exactly is meant by their good time? Why has it spiraled unchecked and out of control in recent years? The Parker House has enjoyed years of perhaps taken for granted understanding, patience, and acceptance by their neighbors. So what's changed? A few years ago, we appealed to the Parker House and the town to help with a new element of raucous crowd control. Promises were made and issues seemingly addressed, yet with each passing summer, conditions worsened. We do not feel that our pleas for attention fell upon deaf ears. We strongly feel that the core of the escalating problems remained elusive and unidentified, and thus were not properly addressed. The most upsetting thing about our situation is that our voices, concerns, and observations are not considered weighty enough to affect change. As direct neighbors, we're villainized by other Seagirt residents and the employees of the Parker House if we speak up, let alone by the masses of their loyal patrons who come down on us. It should be a recognized privilege to operate a nightclub atmosphere in a residential area, and the onus falls upon those we elect to serve in the best interest of all residents of Seagirt. The shock waves of this establishment ripple through the town, whether those on the south or west side know it or not. We met cordially with our longtime friends Frank Matthews and Shane a few weeks ago, and they were sympathetic to our stand. They explained that their new approach and changes with optimism. We're hopeful but remain skeptical. It's no longer just trespassing, urinating, loitering, obscene loud language, noise, garbage, and gridlock of vans and cabs around the block. We are afraid. How did we get to this point? We are literally afraid and locked up inside our home every weekend. Our guests are appalled at what they witness. The total disregard for mere courtesy and decency is inexplicable as patrons stagger along the sidewalk, holding each other up, tossing garbage and urinating as they see fit. Please see the enclosed photo of a gentleman relieving himself as we were sitting only feet away, and his friends scattered and laughed. Or please note the photo we missed on July 4th at 9:30 p.m. of a woman standing out on the street near our driveway with her skirt up to her whatever with no underwear on as she squatted and urinated unseen by the patrols who cannot be everywhere. Or also note the loud altercation and fistfight that erupted on our south lawn with no police nearby. In the past, we've had our grandson's shirt stolen off the line between the houses as a guy needed a shirt to get into the bar, and the shirt was a child size 8. We had company for dinner. We saw him steam past our window with the shirt and a policeman at his heels. We did not press charges. We did not press charges against a girl caught urinating inside my garden all the way in the back. We had no time to call for help when a guy walked in the front door looking for a hot chick. There was an incident of 3 men passed out in our garage on some sales. My gardens are trampled and crushed on occasion if someone falls. The neighbors and police could compile a book of anecdotes of Parker House stories, including, and I quote, "You can't even imagine all the babies conceived in your yard." Through the years, these stories have changed dramatically, as has the climate and the culture. There's often loud, vocal, aggressive anger and hostility. We have to stay buttoned up inside our house on the weekend evenings and nights due to the crowds to avoid the fumes of the gridlock vans circling the block for hours on end. We witnessed on Saturday one recent summer early evening when it was still light out, 2 near disasters on the corner of First Avenue in Chicago. On 2 separate occasions that evening, bicyclists were almost struck and one actually knocked over, one by a van and one by a motorist. We need to focus on objective decisions and compromises based on town ordinances with concerns for the safety of patrons and residents. The situation in and around a 2 to 3 block radius of the Parker House is an accident of severity waiting to happen, with a large number of pedestrians, bicycles, and vehicles converging en masse to a small area. Children routinely ride their bikes along that route. We feel the packed crowds drinking and undeniable drug use inside the nicknamed God's basement is a potential unimaginable catastrophe. How did we get to this point? The enormity of the situation is fueled by misinformation and emotion that do nothing to solve the obvious issues of concern. Personally, we are responsible as well. We've always been hesitant to complain because of friendships and fear of repercussion. Many years ago, we did have a confrontation with an employee of the Parker House, only to be greeted in the morning with human excrement on our patio. Every year, we get assurances from the police that they will be able to post a patrol on the corner to keep off along our porch, steps, patio, and those who would urinate between the cars on our driveway and between the houses. Police are always called away to attend to other more immediate, serious, and escalating problems. The intersection remains dangerous as the vans, Ubers, and pedestrians are all actively maneuvering and jockeying for a position and crossing. It's not feasible to hire as many patrols as needed to safely move along the hundreds of revelers pouring out. The issues are no longer mere, sometimes comical inconveniences. They become a real and present danger. This should be a shared responsibility and concern of the council, the police, the Parker House, and all the Seagirt residents. If people are so endeared to the Parker House, as the 3 generations of the Bossets have always been, perhaps they could be proactive and part of the solution instead of insulting and demeaning those who are fearful for their property and safety, as well as fearful for the residents and the patrons. How did we get to this point? It's clear we have been kicking the can down the road. A small town is a beautiful thing when we all know each other. However, it blurs our vision when the facts are quite evident. We all respect the fact that the Parker House employs our children and friends. They support our fire and police departments. They provide a lovely porch atmosphere for dining, a highlight of Seagirt's appeal and charm. We have been silenced by loyalty to friends and fear of demeaning insults and anger. The mayor and council have tried through the years to keep things at bay and try to satisfy everyone. We need only to enforce our ordinances we put into place to keep Seagirt a safe and welcoming family town. We need to support our police department in the enforcement of these codes. As I mentioned before, if people were so endeared to the Parker House, perhaps they could be proactive and part of the solution. Then perhaps we could truly save the Parker House. That's a common goal, as we all hold many cherished, grateful, and special memories of time spent in our beautiful historic landmarks, which, by the way, no one wants to shut down. She, that grand old lady, at 130 years old, deserves better than this present reputation and legacy, as does our beloved Girt, 100+1 years old. Respectfully, Maggie and Henry Bassett. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jen Coombs. I'm a citizen journalist. I'm from Neptune City. The last couple of weekends, I've been filming in and around Parker House to document the different things, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm being an objective observer. I reached out to Parker House. I sent emails out to all the council people, including the police chief, to state my objective with what I'm doing. I'm going to try to be there on every weekend to document during the times that you guys are having issues with. I do have a YouTube page and I have a Facebook page, but I know throughout the Monmouth County that I'm known throughout Monmouth County from all the police departments. So. Especially the prosecutor's office. But like I said, because I think video footage will give an accurate description of what is going on. And I found a way of filming like 6 hours at a time with my extra battery pack. And then you're right. The police cannot be there at every single thing. The police cannot be there for every little thing there is. It's impossible. But if I have documentation to I'm not trying to play police person here. This is a citizen journalist trying to get video documentation of any and all support. Interviews, whatever, because the last 2 weekends I have a mixed support for Parker House. 2 longtime residents said, "No, you gotta keep Parker House." And then I heard this young lady over here. You are young. It's a compliment.
Please,
And
I don't want my recording.
I'm sorry,
Like you
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't want that.
But it's a public meeting. I'm sorry.
No, but I don't want that.
I-
Can I say that?
You can say it, but
Okay.
it doesn't
I
necessarily.
didn't give you permission to tape it.
I don't need your consent. It's a public meeting.
Okay.
So it's subject to all the. An attorney is the township attorney is very aware of that.
She's able to record a meeting as long as she doesn't interfere with the progress of the
Correct. So, like I said, and that's my goal for the whole summer is try to get as much objective video footage as I can of what's going on in and around Parker House. Thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to comment on this one, section of this, lady's, speech. And what she said about, it's dangerous with bicyclists and everything like that, I agree. And where I live too, to get, out off the Beacon, to make a left on the weekends and all, I don't know which way to look and all. I think it would help, and I'd like to make a suggestion, that if we had a patrol in there directing traffic, that would really, really help a lot. Even better than, the cones. In fact, when I come up to Beacon, because the cones, I have to go out a little further, and then there's traffic this way and that way, coming east from the beach and all, and I just, and I think if there was a patrol in there directing traffic, it would help a lot.
We're gonna try that this year, by the way, that's part of our plan. The problem is, it's going to have to be for 7 hours, so it's a little difficult to rotate them in there, but we're gonna give it our shot, best shot this year.
Can you have one in Chicago too? I mean, that's where we see the near misses all the time as well. I mean,
right now, we're gonna put it at Beacon in first to see how that works, because that is certainly more populated. I'm not saying Chicago isn't, but we're gonna get, I can't have an officer everywhere, I understand. We're gonna do our best.
Thank you.
We do try to slow traffic down with the presence of cones, and it does work. Traffic really slows down, because it looks like Newark Airport coming into it. I know it's not aesthetically good, but it does slow traffic down. So we're gonna continue our efforts to just make sure the traffic slows down.
It does work that way, but it's us crossing that way.
One
That's a
thing,
problem.
one thing I'm gonna ask is
Yeah.
that we go to the lectern, but I think Mrs. Metcalf is gonna get to the lectern.
Congratulations, Councilman Clemenson. We're so thrilled that you are joining the council, and we're lucky to have you. Catherine Metcalf, 103 Ocean Avenue. My comments are mostly about parking and loading zone. It's too bad we don't have more people here, because that was sort of a theme of the evening. On Beacon and First Avenue sit two 140-year-old businesses across the street from each other. One property, the Parker House, is owned by non-resident partners, has 32 hotel rooms, a restaurant, and a tavern with an occupancy of 1264. It has zero parking responsibility. After more than 3 decades of requiring a functioning parking lot as a condition of their license, the Parker House has been relieved of all parking requirements. The other property, the Beacon House, owned by a resident, has 25 hotel rooms, an occupancy of 60, but is required to maintain 18 parking spots on its parking lot. Illogical that we would hold two pre-existing non-conforming businesses to completely different standards. Last May, in 20 days without notification, a loading zone was created on the beachfront a block away for the benefit of a rideshare for the Parker House. The loading zone's intent was support the business that has a parking lot but has been relieved of all parking responsibility. To amplify matters, in February of this year, Council presented a new ordinance. The intent was to convert all of the south side of Beacon Boulevard parking from Ocean to First, as well as adding additional space to the current loading zone. All of this, again, to benefit the Parker House taxi and rideshare use, as the Parker House has been relieved of all parking responsibilities. The proposed ordinance rideshare expansion after this February was justified by Council by their 10-hour traffic study made after loading zone creation last summer. No input from residents was allowed in the traffic study. The existing approximate 50 by 150 parking lot at the Parker House was ruled out by this study not to be recommended for use. Instead, the traffic study proposed more parking be sacrificed by our residents. The Beacon Boulevard proposed expansion in February was met with disbelief and anger by the residents on the block. Adding to all the special favors afforded to the Parker House, Girt continues to allow deliveries all day on First Avenue, a county road that is a no parking tow-away zone and has been deemed unusable for both drop-offs and pickups. This is one of our many palpable examples of our selective enforcement and special favors for the Parker House. Though Girt Council dropped the February proposal of the rideshare expansion on Beacon Boulevard, they have refused to return the parking to the Ocean Avenue and the residents of Ocean Avenue and our town. The loading zone is reopened despite months of efforts by taxpayers to return the public parking spots. Our police services continue to staff and enforce the rideshare loading zone for the benefit of the Parker House and as a burden to our taxpayers. Girt taxpayers have repeatedly told Council through comments on petitions as well as directly at the last 4 meetings to repeal the loading zone. Residents have written countless letters and made phone calls to return the public parking spots on Ocean Avenue. Finally, on May 1st, Council promised to put the loading zone on a renewal amendment on tonight's agenda. Another broken promise as Council stalls the amendment to June 12th to protect the loading zone they created. The obvious question remains, why are the taxpayers of Girt responsible for providing and for maintaining rideshare loading zone for the benefit of the Parker House, who has been relieved of all parking lot responsibility? The loading zone creation has shined a bright light on the blind eye afforded the Parker House zoning and permit enforcement as they have successfully repurposed their parking lot. An ATM, refrigerator, toilet trailers, and covered spaces for chairs and tables continue to benefit the Parker House operation and has intensified their non-conforming use. As they have been relieved of all parking responsibilities, Council has granted a beachfront loading zone and attempted to grant all of the south side of the first block of Beacon for rideshare and Parker House use. It is hard to imagine what is next. Our neighborhood has banded together to return our neighborhood parking, but an angry backlash is roaring through our community. This week, one family was singled out by the Parker House management. A neighbor was told he and his family were no longer welcome. He was told that the Parker House is a private establishment and to look at what his mother is doing. He was told to leave. The unintended consequences of the loading zone have been far-reaching. There must be equal enforcement of all ordinances in our town, not selective enforcement. Rancor, disbelief, and divide across town prevails as this sitting council digs in. Our legal and police officer services are far greater than larger neighboring towns and continue to grow. On the corner of Beacon and First Avenue sit two businesses. One business with 1,264 occupants is relieved of parking and afforded a loading zone. The other business of 60 occupants is required to maintain 18 parking spots. This is government's overreach at its very worst. We should insist that the Parker House is responsible for using their parking lot for its proper and intended use, be it rideshare responsibility or delivery responsibility. Repeal the loading zone, return taxpayers' beachfront parking to our community. I just, on a personal note, want to say that I don't believe that one sitting member of council would allow a loading zone in front of your home. It is one step worse that you would place a loading zone in front of a resident's home that you're entrusted to represent. Thank you.
Mayor, she wants.
Say something. I'm Robin Koenig, I'm 217 Beacon. I don't have anything prepared, but I'm sitting and listening. And as far as the ride share, people should want Uber here, and they should want cabs here. They should not want parking lots so that anybody, adults or children, get in their cars when they've had even one drink and drive. So that's, first of all, that's a good thing. Second thing is, there is a very big difference between a bed and breakfast where people are spending the night and sleeping there and getting up in the morning than an establishment where they're there for 5 hours and they're leaving.
I'm just going to correct you on that. The Parker House has 32 hotel rooms.
So it just seems to me that there might be a better way to facilitate the traffic, maybe perhaps with the police department, to keep the traffic moving so that the people can be picked up and dropped off outside the Parker House like they used to be. And this way it keeps them off the properties, it keeps them in the cars and gone. They just come out, they get into a car and they leave. It doesn't affect anybody's, because even the beach parking is a problem for me. I mean, if people come down to the beach, where do you think the people go to park if they can't park at the beach? They're everywhere. So the loading zone, I had a friend who had cancer, was picking up his wife and couldn't park there because he said, well, you're not a ride pickup. You're not picking up, he's picking up his wife at the beach and he had cancer and he was told by some uniformed person, you can't come here. You gotta go all the way down there to pick her up. I mean, it has become crazy. It's so I think that maybe some element of being a little bit more reasonable could sit and could come up with a solution to this. Because I really don't think we want people parking their cars. We don't want people going to an establishment where they're drinking and parking cars and bringing their cars. There has to be a way. Every other town does it. Every other town has bars and restaurants, and they seem to manage. So maybe it just needs a little bit more thought.
Thank you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Nothing myself.
I just, we all know this is very controversial and we're all frustrated with it. But just a couple of things. Did we, Mrs. Carafa, or anyone, did we introduce an ordinance to have no parking on the south side of Beacon? There was a discussion
No,
about
there
it.
was a discussion, we didn't.
So I just want to
introduce
correct the
ordinance.
record, Mrs. Metcalf. We never introduced an ordinance to have no parking on the south side of Beacon. We had a discussion about it. The toilets, they got a variance. There's nothing I can do about that. And the 1,264 occupancy, again, that was authorized, for lack of a better word, by the state fire safety department, not us. We had nothing to do with it. So,
Respectfully, Mr. Monticello.
Public
Hearing is from
portion.
February 22nd.
Portion is
Introduced.
closed. Excuse me.
Public portion is closed.
that's all it is.
Well, I'll bring things up to spring of 2006. Liquor license was up. There was a condition on the liquor license. It said alcoholic beverage service and consumption shall be limited to sit-down dining on the porch. One sentence. Nobody agreed with me. I got run over. 2015. I'm the one who brought up the toilet trailer. No one showed up to the hearing, except for Tasmania. This is the greatest idea in the world. Well, they have 1,243 people, or 1,264 people. Maybe for the 1,200 people, they have 10 bathrooms for boys and 10 bathrooms for girls. We're trying to do our best with public safety. It is a monumental task. It's a monumental task. Today, with Uber and Lyft, it's good, but it's bad too. Because people drink a lot more. People come out, start taking punches at our police officers. This happens every year. Who does that?
Mr. Mayor, we have the liquor license, so we know coming up at the next meeting. Some comments should be reserved for them.
Yeah, I'll leave it there, but, yeah, I'm about doing the right thing. But we have an obligation for public safety. And we're trying to do the best we can. And that's the way I leave it. There's nothing else to come before council. There's no need for another executive session.
No need for another second executive session.
Okay. Would anyone care to offer a motion to adjourn? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming.